time for sure. Hey, everybody, you know what time it is. It is time for the Epic Engagement Adventure. I am, of course, your host. Coaches hire me to skyrocket their marketing. And today I have a very special guest. He is the doctor of self worth. Andre, come on in here. Tell us who you are. Tell us how you came up with that title. We want to know everything.
Thanks very much. I'm really happy to be on your show. Had some IT hiccups, but I've taken a deep breath in and I'm back in my center. So, my story is the painful childhood with my dad. It came from, not feeling good enough, not feeling loved, acknowledged, and it took me 34 years to work myself out of that rabbit hole. It took me living in 4 countries, traveling 64, failing in relationships, failing businesses to eventually learn from these recurring events and get committed to shift this, the mind, which was creating a loop in my life. And I'm talking about every area of life, like social anxiety. I couldn't even talk in front of 3 people. I've done everything I could to prove myself. That's been most of my life to my dad, who's not alive anymore. The mind
Right.
has these ways to really trip a life. And this is I just seen this photo today, and it said, I think it's from Bob Proctor. It said there's this box, and if you live in a box, then the instructions to get out of the box is on the outside. And
Yeah.
that's a massive problem for a lot of people because this work cannot be done on your own. And NLP has brought me out of my trance state of not feeling good enough, unworthy, can't have this, can't have that. I have so much pressure from family and children that eventually I became 10 out of 10 committed. I said, if this is the last thing I'm gonna tackle in my life, then single mindedly I will seek someone who could unlock my own potential. And it took me about 6 to 12 months, strangely, after 34 years of running in circles, to realize that I'm now another version of me. And the Doctor of Self Worth brand has come from my client because
Really?
when I realized this took me so long, what if I could compress the journey to maybe 6 to 12 months, maybe not wasting $150,000 and moving countries and losing relationships and a lot of money that I invested into and never worked out. I wanted to compress and make it so much easier for people to uncover who they are and really tap into their potential and then take action from that new mindset. Because I want to make a point here. I was taking action. I did strive. I did all I could from the old identity, the old self image, and I was tripping myself every possible way. And I didn't even know. I was telling myself, this is the next thing, the next seminar, the fire walking with Tony Robbins. This is John DeMartini's breakthrough. Oh, I've done all of that.
Yeah.
It was not zeroed on my psychological challenges. It was a big rara event and I love them. But unless you are able to find it in you and find help direct, probably you will be having fun on these events. And I did have some fun. Spent a lot of money, but the Doctor of Self-Worth now is helping people in many time zones and in many countries. And I help business owners, business leaders to tap into their next version of self, to
Yeah.
multiply their impact in life and business, and eventually have their song out in the world in their own unique and quirky way. And who else could teach that any better than you are, Jay? Have I answered your question?
Well, you sure did, but I have more. I Andre. Well, so you NLP was pretty pivotal. Can you tell the audience what, if they don't know, what NLP is?
Absolutely. So NLP is neuro linguistic programming, and it is about how you process information that comes from the outside in a very small and easy way to explain. You only take in 1% of what's happening around you, and you missing 99. And unfortunately have certain filters that are, I've got a demonstration too. If you have a filter of I'm not good enough, you literally have a distorted view of reality. Your
Yeah,
mind starts to filter out the information that is evidence to you're not feeling good enough, you're not deserving it. So, in essence, you project your beliefs into the world. And I know it sounds spooky, and I thought this must be not me. We all do it. Why? Because the mind is automating. The mind is trying to help you so you're not frying your brain. There's
yeah,
so much happening these days. If you're a numbers person, it's millions of bit per second information. And the human mind can only take in 134. You've got
yeah,
wonderful filters from childhood, from authorities who were telling you certain things. You've taken on as an identity. And these days, your results are the absolute proof of your beliefs. So it's fairly easy to find where you are lacking
yeah,
with this, with your mindset. I really simplified it, I hope. And NLP is changing the filters. So you have this consistency of getting what you want in life and business and in relationships because it applies to every area of life.
yeah. Well, it almost sounds like it's an endless type of feedback loop. You're projecting, probably unconsciously, what you see as a result of that filtering and that projection, and then that tells you a certain thing, and then that's what you kind of send back out there. It sounds like, sort of an endless feedback loop. That's a super layman's version, but did I get that right at all?
You really got it. And the tricky part is that you can get stuck in this,
Yeah,
hoping that the book, the seminar, this video will resolve this for you. And I was telling that myself for 20 years.
sure.
Remember that. You're watching that video, you're watching that seminar, the filter is back on.
Ah,
You you are unfortunately taking in all of the information with the filters on.
yeah,
So your mind is not designed to make you happy or rich or famous or inspiring. No, it has only one agenda: to keep you safe, to keep you in the old familiar patterns, because this mind is millions of years old and it loves familiar. It keeps you in the cave, so to speak. That is a familiar ground, and you need to really change those filters, but you can't change it if you don't know that you're wearing them.
yeah. Yeah, impossible to fix something you don't know might be faulty. Yeah. So that sounds like it was, the turning point. I know that we kind of are fed that we need to attend this seminar, read this book, walk on this set of coals. I mean, we're taught we're only, this far away, and we just need to do that one thing. But you're right. If you're still, if you, I love those glasses, by the way. You're still wearing your filters, you will get kind of the same result. Was there just was one event that made you say to yourself, "Oh, I think I've been wearing a filter this whole time." Was that one event, or was that maybe a series of events that kind of woke you up to that?
And I think for a lot of people, and for me, certainly the wake up calls were coming, and they were more more intense. When I when you get to the stage, and it happened to me certainly, when like life is a big coaching session, it's teaching you about your limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So working with me just accelerates the process. And if I look at my life, if it was a teaching lesson, then the intensity, first there's a few subtle signs that you got some issues here. Things are not going well, maybe you're losing money, some relationships are not working out. I certainly had all of those. But then life starts to really put the pressure on. So you wake up out of your trance, because this is a trance. It's a self hypnotic trance. Stories that you tell yourself. Unfortunately, the stories are coming from the past, probably parents, whatever happened to you, however you have labeled it. And for me, the wake up call was, we came to Australia here 10 years ago. I said the fourth country. I thought, now I'm going to really make it. And I got into the old habit of working hard. That's all I've seen in my childhood. I'm coming from Budapest, Central Europe, world wars, lack of everything, like not good enough. That's the minimum that we have, and that that's not enough. And I have to work hard. So when I that was a really hard week. I almost fallen asleep at work. It's dangerous. I was driving trucks at the time. And I got home and I kept falling asleep when it was bedtime stories to read for my kids. And I became, my dad was so disconnected, anxious, fearful, not enough sleep. And it became a slapping competition. They were slapping me on the face because I told them, just wake me up when you need to. And I was so sad. I realized that how could I end up in this? Working 12 hours a day, doing my side hustle for another 2, 3 hours, not being available physically, mentally, emotionally to to my children, to my kids. Like, how did this happen? Something must change. Fundamentally, I need to put this as the most important part of me, or a project that if I don't work this out, I'd rather kill myself. That's how much pain I needed. I was at the stage where I would have lost this relationship and probably my children, because my wife said, well, probably we should just move out. There's not much difference really, because you come home to sleep and there's no connection between you and us anymore. And you're telling yourself that you're going to change. Like, that was the most painful part, that they became skeptical that I will ever change. And I said, well, this is the only single thing that I will tackle. And it took me about a year from that point. But 10 out of 10 commitment, pain level, unfortunately for most of us, it needs to be maximum.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to it's hard to see, how hard you've worked all of your life to try and become a better person, only to wake up and be exactly who you do not want to be. I
Uh,
mean, it is a hard moment for anybody. And I mean, but it was your turnaround.
yeah,
It was your turning point.
and looking back, I've done again. I want to just point out generational patterns. I did not want to be like my dad.
Mm.
That was my sole purpose, because I've seen this broken man. I found out cheated on my mom, fearful, anxious, blaming everyone. So I said, well, I'll be the opposite. Not working. It didn't work. I became almost like him in another version, another limited version. So it was outside of my head.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
had to come and prickle that bubble so I can wake up. That, hey, I'm good enough. I've got some things to share. And now I have changed hundreds and probably thousands of lives through I've got an orphan project called Visit Orphans Today. I want to make it a movement, a heart-centered revolution where people call into orphanages, they teach, spend time with them, give what they can in every country of this planet, and also through my business, through business owners, business leaders. It's a ripple effect. When head of an organization is shifting, like there's new energies in teams, there's new efficiency, there's new teamwork. They are feeling safe to bring in creativity. Very exciting.
I'm loving the orphan project. That's just something I never think about. Um, Here's a comment from Nora here, uh, and just the brain is trying to keep us safe. It's not trying to do anything else, as you were saying. It's so important to remember. Well, and now we come to that point, Andre, where I ask you what I ask everyone on this podcast. How do you engage your audience?
What a great question. I do have a couple of ways. I do have a group, free groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. I do have several ways of social media contents. I use stories at times because that really gets in front of the eyes of people. Only once a week. I don't like overloading people. There's a whole lot, I know, and there's a big competition out there. Then I drop sort of these, I call these cold contents for people that wouldn't know me much, to sort of engaging question, a bit of a triggering one. So so they really ask themselves that hard question, and of course it's in context, sort of, have you had enough pain, or can't stand the voice in your head, like really getting into their psychology, because that's what they're experiencing. My old version of self, that was me for 20 years. And I
Yeah.
do have longer type of posts where I do a case study. I do have 2 3 minute tiny videos of clients telling their experiences of what they have gone through at a longer session, or at times through a, a 5 10 session process. And I use a couple of social channels, as well as I have an email list. The email list, I know it's old school, but what if it's a very, very useful and powerful tool even today to engage
It
people?
really can be. If you're using it well, it really can be a beautiful tool.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to point out that you've kind of done a couple of really engaging things today just during this interview. And one of them is your yellow glasses, right? So you're illustrating a point. We've all been living in these Zoom squares for a good couple of years now, and you use the space to the very best of your advantage by creating an analogy and having a physical thing to back it. So I mean, I found that very engaging. I will say, and for people listening to this on the podcast, sorry you missed the glasses. Go to LinkedIn and see this because it's worth it. I mean, there are so many ways to engage your audience. And it sounds like you are very kind of you have a holistic approach. It's not kind of it's not the shotgun results. It's much more holistic and thinking about the entire person, which I think is wonderful. I wish more people did that.
There is
Uh,
another few things came up. At times I use a bit of a rant type of, a lot of people are annoyed. Remember that. Like, then that's where you want to connect with them. Are you pissed off about this? A bit of a rant to share. It's not because I'm a very peaceful person, but if I want to connect with that audience, then that's where people are. Then I need to pick a topic, and I kind of do that once twice a week, uh, which is really meeting them at that place of,
yeah.
oh, this has happened to me. Kind of need to exaggerate it because I live in peace. I don't really take things as an offense or personally, but I need to go back to my old self. And
Yeah.
I was angry at myself. I was angry at even my wife that we have these children. That how could I end up here in a job working hard, whereas just wanted to be a free man traveling around like before in the backpack. A bit of a victim, because a lot of people are living as victims of their circumstances, but most importantly, victims of their own mind.
It's the truth. It's absolutely the truth. Would you like to tell them about a little free gift that you have for folks? I'm really excited about this.
I've created two since we met last time. I do have a free book. It's called Journey to Your Authentic Self Worth. It's 10 or 11 pages because short attention span these days. It's got a few exercises for you to unlock your own patterns that may be holding you back. And there's a bit of a story of mine one. Plus, I created another one. It's called Self Worth Principles. It's just 2 pages. Grab them for free because they are principles you could start to apply to really come back to your amazing self, to who you could be. And I've learned this for decades failing. Please, please don't make it hard. It's already hard enough for some of you. And they're on my page. Absolutely go and engage. And also you find me hashtag Doctor of Self Worth on plenty of social medias like Twitter and Insta and Facebook, LinkedIn, and also recently on TikTok, which is probably not my place. Although I have to say, if you have an unconventional approach, and this is totally unexpected for me, I posted a 15-second clip on TikTok about my kids climbing a wall.
Yeah.
And it's an interactive wall, so it's got some lights and it looks like almost a video game, but they are actually climbing a wall. I mean, I couldn't believe what happened. Probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's now at 9.2 million views. I wish when I'm talking about the difficulties of shifting self-image, and your identity, I would love to have that much engagement, but that's not the case. And I could not edit the content anymore. I wanted to.
Wow. It is crazy what people pick up, as opposed to, when you're talking about self-worth, which is something you carry with you everywhere, knowingly or not, for every day, every hour of your life. That would seem more important than kids climbing a wall, but I don't know. It's just not, it's what people grab onto. So, well,
Hmm.
what an interesting experience with TikTok. I myself will not allow myself at this time to do that thing because I got a life. I've got a life. I got things that are going on. I don't have enough of the time, I don't think, but yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks. Journey to Your Authentic Self Worth ebook. We put the link in. We put the link in the here, and we showed it up here. It's a free download, and then the self worth principles. You said.
Yes, it's up there at the top of the page. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah.
want I want to share one more thing though. Uh, yes, I talked about TikTok. I talked about Twitter and Insta. But my secret is I'm a content creator. I've got
Mhm.
15 minutes for these 3 pages. Three, 15 minutes, literally every week. I don't do anything else. So I created boundaries to stay in the creative space.
Yeah.
Whereas that tells me the 9.2 million views on that funny video about climbing wall is telling me that those people are consumers
Yeah.
browsing, distracting themselves. Let's get honest here. Probably
Yeah.
distracting themselves from what their true challenge is in life or what they should be working on. Probably who am I? What I want to do with my life that's meaningful, and what do I need to learn to get there?
Well, I know many people use that as a distraction, and I wish more people had the skill of being able to kind of set limits around that. Because there are people that I know that just feel like that's what they do all day is post, 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 post. Those social media machines are hungry, and just always are demanding something. Found a way around that, and that is to set limits. That's wonderful. Well, I want to thank you for coming by today. I know we had some tech issues at the beginning. Tech is beautiful when it works, and when it doesn't, it's a real pain. But this guy sailed through that with like a champ. And thank you for your wisdom with us, folks. Get a hold of Dr. Endre here, because it's a vital thing that we deal with our insides before we try to go outside of ourselves to win other people to a cause, to try to, be coaches, all the things that we want to do. At the foundation of it is self-worth. And you've got the doctor right here. So, well, that's it for now, everybody. I'll be back next week with another amazing guest. I don't know how we could possibly top Dr. Endre, but we will have another amazing guest next week. And that's all I have for now, my friends. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you in a bot.